let me introduce myself, friend. My name is Roshan. I'm with Isha from last 4 years. I have on my IT experience. I have overall 17 years experience. I take up multiple courses with Isha and other institutes. I take up DevOps and SRE. Currently, I'm working as a principal SRE with one of the reputed giants of the world. I started my career as a Java developer. Then I've been into various other SOOs. I've been into sysadmin. I have been to cloud architect. Currently, I'm working as a principal SRE. Okay. Um, so the agenda for today's workshop is to understand cloud. So what I have done, if you the screen that you are seeing is the cloud console, is AWS Cloud Console. I request everybody to be on mute. You can feel free to unmute and ask question at the right time. Otherwise, request everybody to be on mute. Okay. So the screen that you see is, we call it the management console. It's AWS, the console home. Every cloud has this. So I would like to know from all of you, because the agenda for today's discussion is to understand the cost optimization measures. We will talk about serverless services. We'll talk about cost optimize. How can we optimize the cost in cloud? Uh, One of the prerequisite of this course is to understand cloud. Do we all understand cloud? Please use the chat option to confirm, friends, so that I understand where are we as a group. Accordingly, I need to take my content would depend on the answer. Do we all understand what is cloud here? Please use the chat option to confirm yes, no, or you can rate yourself on the scale of 1 to 10, like basic understanding. What is cloud? Different basic services, if you're aware of 4 or 5 services, how we can create server, how do we create storage. If you have basic understanding, that should be enough. So I see Amruta, Ria has confirmed yes. How about others? I need confirmation from you, friends. Don't hesitate in writing yes or no. It will help me. But I want your time worth here for 1 hour. If you don't understand, if I continue, you may feel this session boring, which I don't want. Can everybody confirm here? Do we all understand the basic understanding of cloud? Okay, I'm getting 3 yeses. Okay, 4 yeses, Chitranjan. Good. Okay. I'm going to assume now that we all have basic understanding of cloud, which was a prerequisite, by the way, for this workshop. Okay. So just to give you a context, um, so we have multiple cloud. Very popular clouds are AWS, Amazon Web Services. We have Azure, which is from Microsoft. AWS is from Amazon. And we have GCP, Google Cloud Platform, which is from Google. So these are the primarily 3 cloud providers. We have other players also. We have DigitalOcean, we have Alibaba, we have IBM, Oracle. We have multiple cloud providers, but these 3 are the primary ones. And why do we use cloud? Because not everybody can set up on-prem. On-prem is very costly, right? Not everybody can set up. That's how it is. Because if you think about on-prem, think like a data center. Consider a data center in the outskirt of a city, friends. If I show you the Google data center, let's say, or AWS data center. So think think a facility like this in the outskirt of a city, multiple acres of land you need to acquire, construct building, you have to purchase all the servers. Look, all the halls, big halls full of servers. The servers will generate enormous heat. You need to set up a lot for the cooling mechanism. These servers cannot run out of electricity. You need to have multiple redundant power sources. These servers always need internet 24/7. You need to have redundant internet providers. So a lot of cost goes into an on-prem to setting up a data center, right? And yeah, if a company can afford, many companies can afford this. Like, so let's say Amazon.com that we use is deployed in AWS cloud. We have a lot of players, big players who have their own data centers, Google, Facebook, right? These big players have their own data centers. They have set up this infrastructure on their own, but not every company can do that. It's very heavy cost, initial cost investment, right? So then what is the other option we have? We can use cloud. So these companies, Amazon Web Services, Azure, GCP, what they have done, they have this business model. What they do, they create these kind of data centers across the globe. And if you need servers, I can ask servers storage from any cloud provider, but I need to pay rent. Like, how do we stay in a rented apartment? As long as we pay the rent, we can enjoy the services. We can stay there, right? We can use the facility. The moment we stop paying the rent, we are not allowed to stay there. Same thing. We don't own anything of the servers here, but I'll be able to use some 100 cores, 200 cores, some storage, 5 TB, 10 TB. I need to pay the charges. And as long as I'm paying the bills, cloud bills, I can use the services. That's the cloud. That's the business model what they have. And it's easy, right? Because companies, so many startups. Why do we have so many startups? Because these companies, they use cloud service because they don't have this initial big investment, this bottleneck, right? This big obstacle of setting up the infrastructure. No, they can use cloud. They can. It's easy to pay $10,000 a month. Then you then spend $1 billion in setting up one big data center, right? And even if after setting up you don't know whether your business would grow or not. So it's very convenient to use cloud. Check how your business is growing, the popularity, how much revenue you're making, and then you can decide one day that no, it's good to have their own data center. They have their own merits also. Own data center have their merits. You own everything, you control everything. But in the cloud, you have to work with the cloud provider to deploy applications and things like that. So the cost becomes the most important part because all the cloud, the payment model, how we what we have is the pay as you go. If you use more servers, more cores, more RAM, more storage, we will charge accordingly. The pay as you go, right? So the cost becomes the most. So any company you join, any SRE team you join, any performance team you join, in any company, any DevOps team you join, I would use these words. Any security team you join, team you join, SRE team you join, DevOps team you join, the one of the common goal would be to optimize the cost because they all are in the cloud, because all the servers of the application of the company runs in the cloud. They're having monthly bills to pay. You cannot skip that. If not, company would be cannot continue to function. You have to pay this bill. So one of the primary objective of all the senior folks in the company or everybody across is to optimize the cost of the cloud. Everybody struggles to get that, and we have multiple ways we can do that. So that's what we are going to go understand today. How can we optimize the cost? What is the thought process, the psyche behind it, how to think about it? That's what we are going to talk about in this session, right? I hope we are good with the agenda, friends. Can I get a thumbs up from all of you if you all have understood what is cloud and what are we going to discuss here? Chitranjan, you are seeing a hand raise. I was expecting a thumbs up. Please go ahead, ask your question. Hand raise means you have a question. Thumbs up means you're good.
No, actually, I want to know thumbs up. In place of that one, I did this one.
Come again, I could not follow.
Sorry, what I say, I want to give a thumbs up, but I got this one. Unfortunately, I touched this one.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Good. Okay, you can ask your question. You can raise your hand. No problem. Okay, so friends, so now how to use cloud? What every cloud they have done, they have this beautiful console. You need to create an account. The company where you work will have an account, and when you join the company, you will be given the access, mostly the read access. If you are not a DevOps engineer or SRE engineer, you'll be only given the read access to the max possible thing. They would not give you edit access at all. And you're not supposed to get edit access. What are you going to, if you're not deploying things, you're not creating services, you should not be getting the edit access as well. So if you are a DevOps engineer or a security engineer, SecOps team, DevOps team, or SRE team, only these people get the edit access and they can create services. They have a lot of other access. So every cloud has this beautiful console. And if we need to create the servers, we have services. Let's say if we need to create the server, we have this in AWS. So this is the console of AWS. If you need to get the server, so friends, what is the service we use to create the server in AWS? Please use the chat option, friends. What is the service we use? Quickly in AWS, if let's see if I need to create the server, right? EC2. We have the very popular service, EC2, right? We can go to EC2 and we can create servers. Now, how to copy? Because see, EC2 is one of the, if you look at the bill, right? Cloud bill. Over the years, if you see, you will find that 80%, 80 to 85 to till 90% of the cost, entire cloud bill, 90% of the contribution would come from EC2. Because this is the server, your application running. Your storage doesn't cost much, right? If I ask you in your laptop, don't count the screen, monitor, the screen. What is the maximum price? What do you pay the maximum price for? uh, from the you have the option core, which is the processor, the RAM, the disk. So what is the maximum price you pay for in your laptop? Mostly your answer is going to be processor, core processor, right? Exactly. That is how it is. The core costs the maximum. The RAM doesn't cost you. If you go and check, you can get a 16 GB RAM in 4,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees. 16 GB RAM. But if you ask for 16 core RAM, 16 core processor, the cost will be immense. We have the option here, friends. We can go to the cost part. Let's see if I talk about the EC2 instance. So we do have an option here that we can ask for from 1 core to 96 core also. Let's say this is the process to create the server. If you look at the instance type here, we can ask for 1 vCPU, 1 GB RAM also. And we can ask for 32 GB, 32 core, all the way up to 48 cores. Look at this, for 2 vCPU, 1 GB RAM, 48 cores, 96 GB RAM, 96 cores. So if you use these instance type, you will be you'll be charged accordingly. So one of the important thing to understand from the cost optimization perspective, and performance engineer, SRE engineer, everybody, like I'll talk about these 4 roles today. SRE engineer, site reliability engineer, if you're a DevOps engineer, if you're a performance engineer, or you're a security personnel, part of SecOps team. You need to understand, do we have the utilization? We can go to production, right? And check the usage. Every company has a monitoring tool. Some sort of observability, every company has it. Go and check the server's utilization. Do you think the server is being utilized? Let's say you go and checked 1 month, 2 months, last 2 months, and and utilization is, let's say, 20%. Friends, this is the question to you now. Do you see the scope of cost optimization? Friends, do we see the scope of cost optimization? If you see the CPU utilization is 20% maximum in last 2 months in production. Yes or no, friends? I'm asking you this question to you. Not able to understand? You have got 48 core, let's say you have got 16 core processor and the usage is 20%. Do you realize that you are wasting a lot of resources? This is the realization you should get. Then only the cost could be optimized. One of the simple way, without doing anything, without putting extra effort, you can go to production, check the usage of last 2 months. I'm not telling you to check the last 1 day or 1 hour. No. Overall, check for the last 2 months. Whatever the spike has happened. And if you see a clear cut that usage has been 20 to 30%, why can't you go with instead of 16 core? Why can't you go with 12 core or 10 core or 8 core and have auto scaling configured? Let's say you realize you are observing the production and you see auto scaling is not there. What is auto scaling? Because we are paying for the course. If you use, for example, let's say very simple. Okay, I'm not telling about a very complex things, very generic things. Everybody understands auto scaling here? What is the purpose of auto scaling? Please confirm quickly. To sum it up, let's say in 24/7, let's say think about Flipkart. Do you think in Flipkart the load is always consistent 24/7? Do we think in Flipkart or in Amazon.com the load is consistent 24/7? Never the case. It is not the case. Particularly in Flipkart, which is India based, mostly this retail website. Amazon.com, we can think of because it's a global application. But for any website, we should go and check the usage. We will always have couple of hours. In 24 hours, you will find in 24 hours, there are only 4 or 5 hours where you have the maximum traffic and where the usage has been the more, the resource usage. When I say the resource usage, I'm talking about the CPU, the RAM, talking about that's the CPU cost the maximum. CPU cost the maximum. How much it cost? You can go to AWS calculator and check. You don't need to go and check anybody. You need to ask what is the cost? What is the cost? Go to pricing calculator and check the cost. If you use 16 core for a month, let's say I am creating this in US region. Let's say I'll talk about the EC2. If I use this EC2, number of instances, let's say you're using 4 servers. You're using 4 servers, and let's say you're using, I'll put this 16 vCPU you're using. Let's say you're using this C644XX large, which is 16 vCPU, 32 GB RAM, 4 servers you're using it, which is a very normal thing, right? You know how much you're paying? You have the bill. You're paying $762. You're paying $762. Reservation term. You have multiple options here. Let's say if you use on demand. Let's say if you're not aware of the savings plan. Let's say you are simply using on demand. So these payment options play an important role. So on demand is the pay as you go. Let's say somebody doesn't know this compute savings plan, EC2 instant saving plan, spot instances, somebody doesn't know. They simply went with on demand, which is the default ones. How much you're paying for this 4 servers? 1600 USD per month. Now, without auto scaling, 24/7. If you have auto scaling configured and you know that only in these 24 hours, only 4 hours you have the maximum traffic. Only for these 4 hours you have the maximum traffic. Now, upon enabling auto scaling, would you be able to optimize the cost or not, friends? You'll be only having, let's say, for the maximum traffic, you need 64 cores. Let's case this. Upon performance testing, you can understand how much core should be required. Who is going to tell you? The performance engineer is going to tell you how much core would be required for this much load. Let's say 1000 TPS. For 1000 TPS, how much infrastructure would be required? A performance engineer upon testing can confirm you that. Let's say for to achieve 1000 TPS, you needed 64 cores, and you are only observing 1000 TPS only for 4 hours. Now tell me one thing. And is there any reason for me to configure 64 cores 24/7?
Not required actually for 24 hours.
Transactions per second, Sweta. TPS is the load, right? Not required. So by simple doing auto scaling, by simple analyzing your production behavior, you have the potential to optimize the cost significantly. Just by checking, do you have auto scaling configured? Because if auto scaling is not configured, you would be using 64 cores 24/7. And let's say in the night time, obviously we don't order. Let's say think about flipkart.com. Do we order the product between let's say 11 p.m. to 8 a.m.? How many? The load would be very low, right? During that time. Just a normal guess. I'm asking you. Do you order products in between 11 p.m. to 8 a.m.? We
Rarely.
most huh? We mostly sleep,
Yeah.
right? Load would be minimal. And let's say during the load, during that time, the load is let's say 200 TPS. Still, I'm giving some load for 8 hours. Let's say 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. I'm giving some load. Still, there are some people doing order in the night. That's fine. Let's give them 200 TPS load. For this, you require hardly 16 cores. Let's say. Do you need to configure 64 cores VM during this time, during 9 hours? It will be a waste. So we can have less number of servers during this time. So if we do auto scaling, the core usage in a day would reduce, and we will be paying less to the company because the cloud model is pay as you go. Is everybody understanding what I'm trying to say? Please tell me, friends. If you're not understanding, do let me know. If you're understanding, do let me know. Very simple things I'm trying to tell you. Is everybody on the same page?
Yes.
Good. So there's no region. So very simple thing you can optimize the cost just by checking simple things. I have not done any rocket science here. I just went check the right usage. Do we have the right usage in production or not? And we can optimize the cost. Now, other way, a lot of people they do not understand this type of saving options. You need to understand these saving options to optimize the cost. Now look at this. If you use on demand, your monthly cost is this much per. They are talking about per VM. I'm right now. I've asked for 4 VMs. I've asked for 4 VMs. Let's call about 1 VM. Keep it simple. Per VM, your cost is 400 USD per month on demand. But if somebody understands, 1 second, friends, are they refreshing or not? So, okay, let me talk about something. So based, we have these saving options. So if you know that you are going to use a cloud for let's say 3 years, we can pay some upfront fee, and we can go for the reservation. Look at this here. The cost difference between the pay as you go and if we do for commitment, no upfront fee. If you're not paying any upfront fee, also, we are not paying any upfront fee, the cost reduces significantly per month just by giving the commitment to the AWS that boss, I'm going to use your server for three years consistently. Can you give me some discount? AWS gives discount. Every cloud gives discount when I'm paying no upfront fee, let's say if I have some amount, if I pay some partial upfront fee, my cost reduces significantly per month. I need to pay some upfront fee. So these options people do not understand. A lot of people do not know these options. These options do play an important role. We can ask for reservation. On demand is no reservation. Simple. I'm using this, I'll pay. Like, right? Simple. We have EC2 instance savings plan. 3 year, no upfront fee this much. If we pay some upfront fee, we have $79. Get deeper discount when you only need one instance, family and region. Minimize cost. This is even cheaper. Spot instances are even cheaper. We don't recommend spot instances in the production. I'll tell you the spot instances first. Why it's cheaper. See, in any data center, there are people. Yeah, Ravi, you have a question.
Yes, sorry, am I audible?
Yeah.
Just wanted to check and hope I've not missed anything. What's the difference between EC2 instance saving plan and the compute saving plan?
So if you look at this, right, one plan that automatically applies to all users on EC2, Fargate, Lambda, they give up to 66% discount. But here you're not changing the family. In the
Oh,
instance,
okay.
in the instance type, we have multiple families. Here you're not changing the family. They are giving you some 6% additional discount.
Okay, so EC2 is for individual compute instances, but the compute saving is for the services like Fargate service or
Right.
Lambda service.
Right.
Okay.
In general. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So there is some additional discount is there. And this is no discount on demand. But you need to make some commitment to get some discount. If you are not making the commitment, the point is the commitment. So commitment has the benefit. If you know that you are going to use the service for next 3 years, you can commit with AWS and they're going to give you a lot of discount. Even if you know, if you don't pay any upfront fee also, just by the commitment, look at the savings that you are able to make. 190 versus 397. Huge discount. When you think about this cost, don't think I'm just saving only $200. No. Think about when you have 500 servers. How many servers SBI, ICICI, these HDFC, IRCTC, they would be using? Think about that scale. Then you would realize I'm talking about 500, 600 servers here. Just don't think that I'm talking about $200 difference. No. 200 multiplied by 600. Think from that perspective, how much saving you can do. These things matter. And it matters a lot. I told you, right? 90% of the cost that we get in any company, any cloud bill is incurred by the EC2 instance. Yes, Narayan, you have a question.
Yeah, sorry, I missed some points. Suppose we have peak load on business servers and nighttime we don't have a load on our servers. So how AWS will charge for that, or they will
No, we
change the
have to
configurations?
configure. AWS charge for what you use.
Okay.
You need to configure, you need to write something, you need to configure auto scaling group. We have an option to configure auto scaling group that if the usage is less than, we put some criteria. You have to do the logic calculation. You have to minimize the server usage. If the usage falls below 70%,
Hmm.
right, it decrease the number of servers. If the usage is above 670%, increase the number. So you have to set up auto scaling group. AWS is happy if you use more. AWS will not
Okay.
do anything. AWS has given you option that you can based on some condition criteria, you can minimize the number of servers. You have, that's what, when I said, do you understand auto scaling group? That's what we're talking. We have to configure auto scaling group.
Okay.
Narayan, I think you are in the batch, right? That's
Yeah,
that's our
yeah,
ne-
yeah.
that's
Correct,
our
correct.
next topic. Yesterday we took up the load balancer. That's our next topic.
Okay, okay.
So for others to know, Narayan is one of the weekends batch. I run in SRE team, SRE. So Narayan is from that. So Narayan, today we have folks from other, in general, public open, not just our batch. So
Okay,
just letting you know. Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
Isidro,
Thank you.
you have a question?
No, that was an error.
You have raised your hand. Okay, good. Okay, so let's understand this. Let's understand other aspects. So this is one of the ways, okay, very simple ways. By just looking at the usage, how much CPU are being used, by looking into these savings plan, you can optimize the cost just by simple things, by auto scaling group. So three things we told in EC2: auto scaling, the savings plan, and the usage. Three things. If you just take care of these things, you can optimize significant difference. Okay, I have done this, so I know the importance of it. Just by doing simple thing, we have not done a lot of things. Just check the current usage, current things. What do we are they using reservation reserved instances? Are they not using? So we can make significant difference here. Okay, that's point number one. Now coming to the storage, because these two are primarily we pay these for the primarily we pay. We primarily pay for the EC2, and other cost is the storage. Now, in storage, we have primarily three services. We have EBS, we have S3, we have EFS. So friends, we have multiple options here, okay? Depending on the use case, what are we trying to store? What do we intend to store? We can select the right storage, and we have something called life cycle rule. If let's say the entire Netflix, that the content that you watch is stored in S3. AWS has this service called S3, friends. I hope you're aware of this service, S3. The entire Netflix content that you watch is stored in S3. So it's not like people across the globe is watching every content. They have a lot of content, old movies, new movies, mix, like 90s. They have also 60s movies, old movies also. So we can create such rules. Let's say think about the data I'm not talking about the Netflix, just talk in general. When you store a data, multiple lot of data, there are a lot of data which you don't use frequently. For example, I'll give you this simple example. Let's say you store 100 GB of data. In 100 GB of data, you are accessing, let's say, actively 70 GB of data. 30 GB of data, let's say you are not using it actively, or you're, let's say, using once in a while, in 1 year, once, very rarely you're using. Not tell me, simple, answer my one question. Do we need to store both the kind of data in the same type of storage, or we can move this to some cheaper storage? 30 GB of data. What do you think? I'm not telling you to delete the data. I'm only telling you to move this to a cheaper storage. Is everybody on the same page? Narayan, please lower your hand if possible. I'm thinking you have a
I
question on
couldn't
this.
able to lower my
Okay,
hand.
I have done it. Okay.
Thank you.
So, friends, do we all agree that we should move this 30 GB of data which is not being frequently used to some cheaper storage? And we can have this 70 GB of data in a storage where the access is fast. We can pay more for this. Like in storage also, right? We have SSD drive, we have HDD drive. SSD drive is fast, right? So in our laptop, we should have our OS in SSD. No problem, no doubt about it. But other storage, other data, we could also move to HDD part, which we don't use frequently, right? Think like this. Do we all agree on this? Yes or no? that it does matter. And friends, it does matter in the cost, because when I talk about terabytes of data, 100 terabytes of data, think about it. Even 20% is a huge thing. 20% of 100 terabyte is 20 TB. It does matter. The cost, even if it's 10 cents per GB, it does matter on a monthly scale. Again, you to understand the cost part, you can go to this, how much you pay, right? You can go to, or even you can use the AWS calculator to check, or you can go to S3 cost part. Cost. You can also understand this cost, how much they are charging per GB to store things. They'll give you the details per GB, per how much they are charging. So it does matter. I'll use the calculator itself. That's easy for me. I should not go a lot of places. S3, we have a lot of storage classes. These are the things we're talking about. If you put everything in S3 standard, you'll be charged a lot. Let's understand the cost of S3 standard. Inter amount unit GB per month. Let's say I'm talking about 1000 GB, 1 TB. If you look at the cost, 23 USD. If I store the same thing in, let's say, Glacier, the same cost would significantly be reduced. Significantly be reduced. Look at the cost here. Here, 1 TB, right? 3.62 USD. I was paying $20, thing, $20 was there, right? When I used the normal ones. $20, $23 versus $3. $20 difference per month just by changing the storage. And think about if I have multiple terabytes, I'm just using 1 TB. So the cost, so we can create some life cycle rule. So in the storage part, we can create some life cycle rule and we can optimize the cost. Very simple things I'm telling you, friends. Just go and create life cycle rule. AWS is going to, based on the way, based on their usage pattern, how frequent they are being accessed, you can create such rules, some rules, and you can optimize the cost. So that's on the storage. We have now, friends, third thing which I want to tell you, which is quite important in the cloud business, right? See, EC2 is the major chunk. Other things are 10% only. 90% of the cost, if let's say your bill is $10,000, 9,000 per month would be spent in the EC2 only. So the major chunk is EC2. So whatever I told you, the auto scaling, the compute savings plan, I did not tell you about the spot instances. I was telling you, I think somehow I got distracted. I'll come to that. So spot instances is also one of the very important thing. What is spot instances, friends? So spot instances, I hope you remember, right? There was a fourth option in the cost saving plan, the spot instances. So spot instances we don't recommend in prod, because see, in AWS we have data center. A lot of people ask for on-demand servers, on-demand instances, and AWS has the cost to that. But there are a lot of servers which are unused. I'm talking from the talking from the cloud perspective. I'm talking from the cloud perspective, from the availability zone perspective. There are a lot of servers which are not being used. Nobody has asked for it, just lying idle. Is AWS gaining anything out of it, friends? If the servers are just idle in the data center, is AWS gaining anything out of it? Unused servers, I'm talking about. Please confirm, friends. I'm not getting any responses from you. Yes or no would help me understand whether you and me on the same page. If in a data center, friends, if the servers are being idle, let's say no on demand, nothing, nobody has asking, just idle, not going to benefit anybody. So what AWS does, AWS gives it for discount, 90% of the discount, like a sale. But only one condition, AWS can take it back at any time. If the people would come, ask for the servers, AWS can take it back. That's the only disadvantage that we have with the spot instances. So we don't recommend spot instances for production. But if you need to do a, let's say, load testing where you need a lot of servers for 1 hour, 2 hour, should we go with on demand or should we go with spot instances, friends? What do you think? Able to understand? If you need it for a couple of hours, 1,000 cores to run a test, 1 hour, 2 hour test. Even if AWS asks in between, you are not losing anything out of it. But it will save you 90% of the actual cost. So spot instances. So these things, so 90% of the chunk is EC2. You should focus on there. What I was telling you on the 10% life cycle rules you can create. Now, one of the very important thing is serverless, friends. Serverless, using serverless services. In serverless services is one of the important ways that you can optimize the cost. So first of all, you should understand what is the serverless services. See, serverless services are those services where, as a user, I am not bothered about the underlying server. I'm not sure how many of you know Lambda. Do you know Lambda, friends? Lambda, S3, EFS, Fargate. Event Bridge, SNS, SQS, SNS, SES, API Gateway. We have a lot of services which falls under this category. Serverless services, where AWS manages the underlying infra. So we can use serverless services. DynamoDB, one of the databases, very popular DynamoDB. As we have named this first. So these are the examples of serverless services. AWS has the complete ecosystem, friends. AWS has complete ecosystem of serverless services. AWS serverless services. So serverless services. So we have a lot of services: Lambda, Fargate, Event Bridge, Step Functions, SQS, SNS, API Gateway. So where AWS manages the infrastructure. If we are not using it, we are not paying it. I'll just give you a simple example. Do we know Alexa device, friends? Everybody has used Alexa device in our home. Like, you know that Alexa do this, or Google devices, Google do this, do that. Do we aware of such things, of such devices? Most of you, right? So this Alexa, what it does when you don't ask anything from it, does it do anything? When you don't say Alexa, do this, does Alexa do anything? just idle, just idle, lying idle. So Alexa is based on a Lambda technology. The function is written, the Lambda that I was talking about, giving the example of Lambda, right? Serverless service, very popular Lambda service. So they have written a function in Lambda. Lambda is a service. We call it function as a service. We have written a function, and they have written a function. They what the function does when you say Alexa, Alexa gets activated, and it converts your human language to machine language, zero and ones. It understands the machine language. It processes whatever you ask for. What's the weather outside? Play me this song, anything. It does the processing. It uses the servers. It does the processing, gives you the output in the human format. When you're not using it, it's being idle. So when Lambda function is being invoked, now I can write function for anything. I can write function to parse my log file, analyze my log file. I can use anything for Lambda function. A lot of things could be done in the Lambda function. So if Lambda is based on a serverless service, if you are invoking Lambda to do something, it will work. If you're not invoking Lambda function, you will not paying for it. So that's the benefit with serverless services. If you're not invoking these services, if they are being idle, you are not paying for it. Particularly Lambda I'm talking about. Lambda, DynamoDB, these are the storage services. I'm taking out of this list. Fargate, DynamoDB, EventBridge. So if you're not using it, you're not paying it. If you use it, you're paying it. So you optimize the cost a lot more from serverless services, friends. You can use the Lambda to process any function, anything. You can go over these things, friends. Why Lambda, why we use pay-as-you-go pricing, performance optimization, a lot of benefits you have it for Lambda. A lot of company use this. Every company, popular company, they use it serverless because they optimize the cost. So friends, what we have done today, we have understood the various ways to optimize the cost in AWS. So whatever we have told about AWS, same thing applies for any cloud. I was just giving you the references from AWS, but it applies to any other cloud also. So friends, if anybody is interested, looking for a full-fledged course on cloud, Kubernetes, DevOps, so I'm coming up with a course. Would like to let you know. You can attend the demo session next week. I'm going to give you the link. So going to be a weekday session. Okay, feel free to attend the demo session. Not the next week, I think next week. Let me just confirm the timing here. Yeah, 10th December. Okay, so 10th December is the demo session. I'm coming up with a new course, new batch. Okay, so if you're looking for something complete course on cloud, SRE, Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins, monitoring, observability, in and out. Okay, if you're looking for a course, so please go over this link, attend the demo sessions, and get the most out of it. Okay. Anyway, so you can plan for this, friends. Any questions? We are done for the day, friends. I'm going to give you the link. Go check out the course content, friends, and plan to attend the demo session on 10th of December, 8:30 p.m. Yeah. Okay. I hope you have got something out of the session. I hope we have learned something. Can I get yes on that question, friends, from all of you? Two yeses. Others did not find this session useful. You can ask your questions, friends, if you have any questions. Okay. So that's all, friends, for today from my side. Okay. Let's meet you some other time. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody.
Hi, Rosh.
Yes, Ravi.
Rosh, Just a quick one. Sorry, again,
Go ahead,
if
go ahead.
I've missed anything. So you're starting a new batch at the same time, almost at the same time.
Same time means 8:30 p.m. It is going to be over the weekdays.
Oh, that's gonna be at the weekdays. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, that's fine. Cheers. Thank you.
And what will be the difference between that batch and the one we are currently doing for
Nothing,
SRE?
no difference. Same batch.
Okay.
That's our batch is weekend batch. This is going to be weekdays batch. That's all. Just we are giving you an option. If anybody interested, new folks interested in the weekday batch, they can attend because the weekends we are always already 30% done. So no point joining that batch, right? So no difference. Same content. You see
Okay.
that. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, weekdays batch. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody.